What's good, y'all? Anderson Emerald here today to talk about the World Athletics Ultimate Championships. So over the past week or so, they've announced both the schedule and the specific qualifying process. So I wanted to talk about these championships and also dive in a little bit on some of the things that are really, really good about these championships. And then also some of the things that might not actually be as positive. What is kind of the future trajectory for it? And of course, just give a breakdown of what it is in general. So at the top, World Athletics Ultimate Championships. This is going to be a championship meet to close out the 2026 year. So this is the quote unquote off year where there's no World Championships or Olympic Games. And it's going to be held in September 2026 in Budapest, Hungary, which is where the 2023 World Champs was held. But moving forward, after 2026, it's going to be held every 2 years. So the next one is going to be held in 2028. Yes, after the Olympic Games. So we'll come back to that in a second. But the event winners at the championships are going to get $150,000. So a really, really big payout. The 8th place finishers, they get $10,000, and then even all the way down to 16th place, which is the maximum number of athletes competing in any given event, they're also going to get $2,000. So the payout across the board in every event is very, very, very good. Now, you're going to have essentially all the regular events contested over the course of 3 days in 3-hour sessions each day. And you'll have every single event, but you won't have a certain amount of events. So you won't have the 10,000 meters for the men or women, the steeplechase for the men or women, the shot put, discus, or the multi-events for the men and women. And you're not going to have the men's triple jump or the women's hammer throw. So we'll talk about the events in a second. On the relay side, you're going to see the mixed 4x1 and mixed 4x4. So none of the regular men's and women's 4x1, 4x4, only the mixed 4x1, mixed 4x4. Also, when it comes to actual competition, all of the field events, the 1,500 meters, the 5,000, and both of the relays are just going to be straight finals. No qualifying, no semis, no heats, no nothing. Straight finals for those events. But in the 100, 200, 400, 800, and the 400 meter hurdles, as well as the 100 and 110 hurdles, those are going to be semifinals to finals. So those are the only ones that are going to have rounds. The last and probably one of my favorite things is that there are no limits to the amount of athletes from each country that can compete at the World Ultimate Championships. So it's literally just the best athletes in the world. And I'll talk about qualifying in a second. But if there is, 10 Kenyans in the 5,000 or, 5 Americans in the, 100 meter hurdles, listen, then they can all compete there if they qualify appropriately. So we'll see that actually play out. So that's the general gist of the World Ultimate Championships. Again, coming in 2026, September, Budapest, Hungary. It's going to be held every 2 years moving forward after that. Now, how is it that athletes actually qualify for these championships? Well, if you are the reigning Olympic champion from 2024, or the reigning world champion from 2025, you already have a spot at the Ultimate Championships in 2026. So, for example, let's see Lita Boho or Gabby Thomas in the 200 Olympic champions, they have a spot. Or you have Grant Holloway or Masai Russell in the short hurdles. They have their spots, right? Olympic champions. In 2025 World Champs, you have athletes like Melissa Jefferson-Wooden or Oblique Seville in the hundreds. You have Femke Bol, Rai Benjamin in the 400 hurdles. They have spots at the World Ultimate Champs. You also have a few athletes who have qualified in multiple events, right? So for example, Cindy McLaughlin-Levrone, Olympic champion in the 400 meter hurdles, world champion in the 400 meters. She gets spots in both events. You have Noah Lyles, Olympic champion in the 100, world champion in the 200. He gets spots. Like I mentioned, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, world champ in the 100 and 200. She has a spot in both events. And then even someone like Cole Hawker, Olympic champion in the 1,500, world champion in the 5,000. He has spots in both events. Also, on top of Olympic and world champs, the Diamond League champion from 2026 also gets a spot at the World Ultimate Championships. And then the remainder of the field will be filled out via the World Rankings, which will run from September 2nd, 2025, all the way to September 1st, 2026. So make sure you're in the rankings. It's either, depending on the event, top 12, top 8, top 16, whatever it may be. If you're in those, you'll get a spot to the World Ultimate Championships. Now, this is interesting because the Diamond League final in 2026 will be held on September 4th and 5th in Brussels. So that means that any athlete, let's say, the Diamond League champion will get a spot at World Ultimate Championships. But let's say you finished second or third or fourth or whatever, and you needed that Diamond League final to get you world ranking points to get into that top 16 or 12 or whatever. that won't actually count. So you'll need to make sure prior to the Diamond League final in 2026 that you already solidify your spot via world rankings to make sure you get a spot at the World Ultimate Champs. So that's one interesting thing. Finally, the only other way that an athlete can get to the World Ultimate Champs is an exceptional invitation from World Athletics. And this is where World Athletics, they can invite one athlete, any athlete who didn't qualify through any of the processes that I mentioned. So here's a hypothetical scenario, just hypothetical. Shericka Jackson, let's say that in 2026, she doesn't, compete frequently enough and doesn't get, a world ranking position to get her into that top 16 for the 200 as an example, or the 100, whatever it may be. But let's say in the middle or end of August, in a one-off meet, not a Diamond League, not a Continental Tour, just some one-off meet. Let's say she goes out there in the 200 and runs 21.5 seconds. At that point, it's probably likely that World Athletics is like, yo, this is a two-time world champion. This is, a woman who's one of the fastest in history. She just ran another one of her fastest times all time. Like, we want to see her at those Ultimate Championships. They're probably going to have her as an exceptional invitation because it's like Shericka Jackson should be here, even if she doesn't have the world ranking points. So that's just something to take into consideration in how World Athletics can kind of give an athlete an opportunity who they think they truly do deserve, right? And these are the best of the best athletes. So that's why I gave Shericka as an example. Now, before I talk about some of the good and the bad, I just want to highlight the schedule that they put out for the Ultimate Championships. So day one, you have both relay finals, mixed 4x1, mixed 4x4. You have both short hurdle finals, the 110 hurdles and 100-meter hurdles, the men's 5,000 final, the men's hammer and pole vault, as well as the women's long jump and high jump. So a couple finals on the first day. Day two, you have the 400-meter hurdle finals for both men and women, the 100-meter finals for both the men and women, the women's 800 and 15, the men's long jump, as well as the women's javelin and pole vault. Then finally, day three, you see men's and women's 400 finals, 200 finals, as well as the men's 815 finals, 5,000 final for the women, men's high jump and javelin, as well as the women's triple jump. So some interesting lineups across the board. I think one initial thing, I won't go into it in my problems, but one initial thing, just because we're coming off the Olympic schedule, but if you notice on this schedule, the 200 and 400 double are not possible here for either men or women because you have the 400 finals on the same day that the athletes have to run 200 meter semis and 200 meter finals. I know it's a smaller field, but still, it's like this is only within the span of 3 hours, right? So I don't know, it doesn't look possible. Same thing with the 815 finals. Those doubles are not possible for either men or women because those are contested, those finals are on the same day. Also, thinking of Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, who I'll talk about in a second, a 400 and 400 hurdle double is not possible, not really possible here either, because on day two, you have the 400 meter hurdle finals coming right before the 400 meter semifinals has to go off. Maybe possible, but I don't know. It's not favorable to a degree. So that's something that I just noticed. But let's just dive in to some of the things that I think are really good about these Ultimate Championships. Number one is the fact that we are getting the best of the best athletes lining up, competing here. There's no limit to the amount of athletes who can compete from any given country. So like I said, if there's 10 women from the United States in the 100 meter hurdles who are ranked in the top 16, they are going to these Ultimate Championships. If there's, 5 Americans and 5 Jamaicans in the men's 100 meters, they're going to the World Ultimate Championships. If there's, 10 Kenyans and 5 Ethiopians or whatever it may be in the 5,000, they're going to the, Ultimate Championships. That is something that, I don't know, dating back to when I even started, following the sport in 2008, 2009 or so, that's something that people have been talking about, why is it that certain athletes are left out even though they're the best of the best, right? This is at least a really good opportunity to see the best of the best compete across these different events. This, I think, is a great idea. The other thing that's really great is the fact that this is short and sweet and made for TV, which is something that they've spoken about, where it's 3 hours, 3 days, only semifinals and finals in those certain events, right? Maximum of 16 athletes in, any given event. Some of the events have 8 athletes in the field. You have 12 athletes in the 5,000. This is a very, very compact, kind of event, and it's the best of the best. So no filler, all due respect to everyone, but nobody who's kind of going to be bringing up the back of the pack. It's the best of the best in a short, digestible, entertainment package for TV, as they claim it. it. We still have to see it in execution, but I do really like, how they're actually structuring it. Finally, third thing I do like is the fact that these athletes are getting paid a significant amount of money, similar to as we've seen most recently in Athlos, most recently in Grand Slam track, and then even to a degree, not a lot, but track and field did pay athletes at the Olympics, but winners are getting $150,000. Even 8th place gets $8,000. And even athletes, if I'm thinking about it right, if you're 16th, so you don't even make it to the final, you're in the semifinals of, let's say, the 100 meters, you still get paid $2,000. So this is a really, really good thing to see the athletes getting paid, similar to, like I said, with we just saw Athlos, athletes getting paid, Grand Slam track, I guess they're finally getting paid and all that, but I think that's a really, really good move for them. So those are 3 things I do like. Few things that I find a little, I don't know, maybe some problems in my opinion, all my opinion. Number 1, missing events. So like I said, there's a few events that they are leaving out from these World Ultimate Championships, right? You're not going to see the men's triple jump. You're not going to see the discus on either side. You're not going to see the steeplechase, right? The shot put is not even being contested here, right? These are some events that are some of the most high quality events. You're looking at the steeplechase. We just saw the men's steeplechase being one of the most thrilling events at the World Championships. The women's steeplechase, you have women who are pushing up, and it would be crazy to think that women can't break the world record, coming this year. These are some of the shot put. We just saw Ryan Krauser continue to overperform in a way that is literally historical, right? We're missing an opportunity for, some high quality events that are not going to be here at these World Ultimate Championships. And I think that is a miss. Even if they're trying to condense the schedule and make it really focused and great for TV, it doesn't make sense if you're going to include the women's triple jump, but then not the men's triple jump. And same thing on the hammer throw. The women's hammer throw is going crazy, but you're including the men's hammer throw. Obviously they're in Budapest, Hungary, all that, but that's at least one problem that I do see. A few missing events and leaves out some of the top talent. Now, a few other things. I don't think that the top athletes and even World Athletics to a degree, I'm not sure they look at this as the World Championships or the World Ultimate Championships that it maybe is trying to be compared to, right? We have the World Championships, we have the Olympics. I don't think this event is ever going to get to a point where it equals, even at minimum, the World Championships. And just for some context, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, she was asked and is still not sure if she's going to compete at these World Ultimate Championships. Now, obviously, any athlete may not be sure, and Sydney is, very mysterious at times, right? She never wants to, show her cards or anything. But if literally one of the top stars in the entire sport is not sure if they'll compete, and you have all these enticing, opportunities, whether it's the money, whether it's the schedule, whatever it may be, then I don't know, what does that say? Even someone like Rai Benjamin, who came off the Olympic gold and World Championship gold, after he won the gold medal in Tokyo this past year, he said that this is going to be an opportunity for him to just do another different events, right? He's going to focus on the 400 and the 200 instead of his, marquee 400 meter hurdles. Now, he has a wild card to these Ultimate Championships in the 400 hurdles by way of being Olympic and world champion, but he's already I want to skip over that for the time being. Let me try this 400 and 200. So if this is a side quest to a degree for certain athletes, or if certain athletes are not even sure if they'll compete, then it's I don't know, how important do athletes actually see this event? And these are the best of the best athletes, right? So I don't know. Similar situation with World Athletics, where I don't think they actually see this becoming bigger than Worlds or Olympics. And I don't know if their intention is for that to occur. Maybe, I know one of their intentions is to fill the gap in an off year, but the fact that they're not including all events, and again, it's not like they're cutting out individual events, they're cutting out the men's triple jump, but they have the women's triple jump. So if you don't really like the triple jump, then why keep both? Why keep one of them, right? Same thing with the hammer throw, right? All these different things. So I'm not sure if they look at this as okay, this is going to be one of the pinnacles of the sport. And the fact that they are doing this every 2 years, so 2028, we're going to see this occur after the Olympic Games. So at minimum, we already know this event is going to be overshadowed. At minimum, the Olympics is going to happen, and then many athletes are going to say, all right, yo, I'm good. What I'm saying? We already see that happen with athletes in regular Olympic years, where they can go to a Diamond League final, they can go make more money. They're like, nah, I'm good. I already got my Olympic medal. I'm set. So this, in terms of the strategy on how it's being rolled out every 2 years, it's interesting. We'll see if World Athletics does shift in the future, but that's one thing that doesn't seem so positive to me in terms of how this event is being treated, again, by athletes and to a degree by World Athletics. Not saying that, they're not investing a lot into it, there's a lot of money, all that, but that's something to kind of think about. So looking forward, it will be very interesting to see what actually unfolds in 2026, which athletes, are choosing and focused on targeting the World Ultimate Championships, how the event is actually executed, and then kind of going forward, like what will the future look like for it? Again, 2028 with those Ultimate Championships, it's going to be overshadowed by the Olympic Games. Will athletes, continue to be enticed by the money? Remember, this is the best of the best athletes in the world. So Cindy McLaughlin-Levrone, as an example, she can say, I'm not sure, because $150,000 maybe isn't as enticing to her. Now, obviously to other athletes, down the line, obviously behind Cindy McLaughlin-Levrone in any event, right, they're going to be more enticed by the money, but some money may not be the true, motivating factor for many athletes across the board, especially when World Championships is the following year. The Olympic Games is the following year. I don't know. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see, but let me know what you think about these World Ultimate Championships. Go in the description for some links to, of course, World Athletics, and then also Citius Mag, great breakdown article by Chris Chavez. So let me know what you think. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Truly appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching.